guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. This is today's sketch right here by Laura Whitaker. Now, I don't think I am going to have my angles be as harsh. I do have some ideas, so let's see what I can do. So I went into my stash and I pulled out this Fancy Pants Atwell paper, and it's just a plain powder blue on one side, and then on the other side it's this dark, I don't want to say, it's almost black. I don't know if it's black or such a deep navy blue. I can't tell you guys. But it does have this stripe to it. Now, I was going to cut this apart and use these stripes to make those diagonal lines in the background of the sketch, but ultimately I don't do that. I kind of go a little bit rogue. You can definitely tell that this is inspired by this sketch, but it's definitely not following the sketch exactly. And I think that sometimes it's great to follow a sketch exactly, especially if you're not feeling very crafty, you're not feeling very creative, and it's right there for you to just copy. And then sometimes you look at a sketch and you do your own thing, and that's what I did here. I looked at it, I did not reference it again, and I just made it my own. So I do flip through this sticker book from Paper House because I was going to use those gold foil check boxes and do a line on one of the diagonals. Now, I completely forgot about that by the time I was finished with the layout, so that did not happen. I'm also only using one photo, and I am using this Disneyland First Visit button as part of the elements of the page. So, fun fact about these little First Visit buttons, they peel off really super easily. So that pin part, you just pop up the little tabs, pull that sucker off, and then you use 3 layers of fun foam so that it adheres perfectly to your paper. Now, you might think that this is a weird photo for a First Visit button, but this is Lana taking a selfie of me and her while I was texting Christopher. And while I was texting him, she sent the photo, and she thought that it was really funny that we had a family selfie at Disneyland, even though we all truly weren't there. So that is the story behind the photo, and I'm actually going to journal that on the page. Imagine that, I'm actually putting words on a page. So I decided not to go with the banner that's shown in the sketch. I actually forgot it was a banner right there. I used this dark wood grain paper, and this is a Paper House paper, to just kind of matte this gray cardstock. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to put a big old star on here, but what I am going to do is use my All-Star stencil from Scrapping Reflections and some, what is this stuff called again? Stickles glitter gel. And I used that up, so that was one left over on my kit that is now gone. And I'm just going to place it around where the photo is. So I'm not going to star the entire paper. It's just going to be where the photo is. And then my palette knife decides to break in the middle of it, so that's fantastic. I've tried a plastic palette knife, now I've tried a metal palette knife. I'll probably go back to the plastic palette knife because it just lasted longer. I do keep placing my photo mat back on, kind of over top the paper so I can see where it's going to go. I do get myself mixed up a little bit and realize that the photo is going here, where I am placing a lot of the Stickles glitter gel, so I rectify that super quick. This is where my little palette knife breaks, and I'm sure I could use some kind of epoxy glue and shove that metal piece back down in there, but honestly, I think I'm just moving back to a plastic palette knife. Time to hit one of the craft stores and get myself one of them. I decide to place a little bit of stars down here at the bottom as well because that's where my title is going to go. Now, I kind of forgot which side of the page the title was on the sketch because like I said, I looked at it and then went to town on my layout and kind of never looked at it again. So now I have these stars outlining where my photo mat's going to go. I also have some stars where the title's going to go. And I am working on top of the glitter gel, even though it's still wet. I'm going to use that to my advantage and use that to help the paper stick down to the top of it. I add a little bit more adhesive on the button and go ahead and layer that up as well. And then I'm thinking about bringing in another circular element, another little touch of this yellowy color, but ultimately I decide against that. I decide that the button is really going to be the only circle element I have on the page. I decide that this family wood grain word will be a perfect match because I do have wood grain up here on the top of the layout. And then I grab this little tab that says September, and we're going to pop that on as well. And then I'm just kind of looking through and kind of figuring out what I want to use. Now I like this little gray arrow with the little pop of red and pink. That bad boy does end up on the page still, but I kind of move him down a little bit because I needed a place for the journaling. Now I was looking for a way to incorporate a little bit more embellishment on the page, but I really wasn't feeling anything that I had out. I tried the chipboard stars and little starburst thingies. I tried some gold glitter tape here, and I knew the flowers weren't going to work. So I did bring in a gold bow, so just went ahead and popped that bad boy down. I thought about putting another bow down here by family somehow, but I wasn't feeling it. It just didn't feel right. It definitely felt like I was just trying to get another bow on the page. So put that off to the side. And then I pull out the grunge board. Now this stuff is old. I mean old. And I have a bunch of it. And I love the smell of grunge board. If you guys remember it, do you remember what it smelled like? Because it smells like art class in childhood, if that makes sense. It kind of has a little bit of a paper mache smell. It's just fun. So I pop out the letters for Selfie. I decide not to pop out the dot of the I. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. This was a time where I decided not to. So Lana sits across from me most of the time on my desk right here, and she always has her markers out because she is a colorist. She enjoys coloring a whole bunch. So I reached across, grabbed one of her red alcohol markers, and just decided to color up the grunge board. I am using my crystal katana, the little nubby pokey part, to hold onto it so I don't get alcohol ink all over my fingers, which is a possibility even if I'm using the crystal katana, but luckily there was no ink on the fingers today. So I'm just using this red color, and I'm going to go ahead and color every single one of the letters. Now, I have in the past taken the time to color around the outside of the letters, kind of the raw edge that's not on the top but on the sides. This time I decided not to, and I did that on purpose this time. I felt like it's kind of a grayish color, but it didn't look completely out of place with the wood grain and also the gray cardstock I have going on up at the top. So I decided that it would be fine. I grabbed my Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, and I'm going to apply a little bit of the adhesive to each of the letters, and I'm going to nestle the word Selfie inside the ascender of the F and the L so it fits in there quite nicely. Now, I probably could have titled this Family Selfie, but I decided to switch it up and call it Selfie Family. You know, I think the word nestles a little bit better in the top than it would have on the bottom, so that's the decision that was made. I do grab my Uniball Signo Broad Gel Pen. It is my favorite white pen to use on dark cardstock, and I just talk about you know how Lana took the selfie to send to Christopher as I was texting him, and she thought it would be cool to have a family selfie on her birthday. And I do have to say, I love this photo, not because it's like some epically composed photo or anything, but she is obviously super happy in the photo, and you can see Pixar Pier reflected in her sunglasses. And I just think it is one of the coolest photos ever. So I decide that I need something else. Even though the embellishments that I had tried earlier from my kit didn't really make me happy, I decided to go in to my stash of enamel dots, and I pulled out some of this blue because it was close to the blue that is in the photo layers over there. So I just added a couple little enamel dots, and then that is going to do it for this layout, you guys. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you again real soon for another video.